benchmarking law compliance. As Mimi said, the slides and recording of today's webinar will be sent out after we're done. And please feel free to send any questions you may have as we go through the presentation through the chat to the host. Now, today's session is largely going to focus on the basics of the benchmarking ordinance reporting process and using Portfolio Manager, while the follow-up sessions will focus on how to review benchmarking results and developing strategies for improving building energy performance. We have part 2 on May 10th and part 3 on June 8th, so it does span the next few months. If you're already familiar with Portfolio Manager, a lot of the content that we cover in this presentation might feel somewhat familiar to you. So today's session is geared toward folks with limited or even no experience using the tool. And with that, here's a brief overview of our learning objectives for today. We are going to cover all of the essential information you need to get up and running with Portfolio Manager, including how to set up your account, access or upload energy and water data for your building. We're also going to walk through the 2 most common data sharing processes that are utilized by jurisdictions that facilitate the reporting via Portfolio Manager. It is real quick, just important to note that each jurisdiction has different requirements for compliance. This webinar is not intended to address requirements specific to any one local or state government, but rather it will present general information on how to use Portfolio Manager and report data in the ways most commonly required under these laws. So if you do have questions about your specific benchmarking laws, we'd recommend reaching out to your specific jurisdiction. With that background in mind, we will jump into our first learning objective for today, understanding the role of EPA's Portfolio Manager tool in benchmarking ordinance compliance. So here we have a map displaying most recent data from late 2022, where more than 50 state and local governments across the United States required commercial building owners to benchmark the energy performance of their buildings. This will typically involve obtaining and submitting a year's worth of energy, or in some cases, water data for your building. So these jurisdictions often make the results available either publicly or before the sale or lease of your building. Disclosure and transparency of benchmarking data can take many forms. So we encourage you to reach out to your jurisdiction if you're interested in learning more about if or how your building data is going to be disclosed. In addition to benchmarking ordinances, it is also important to note that many benchmarking and transparency laws include other requirements besides reporting energy data. These could be mandatory audits or retro commissioning requirements. Those 2 are often based on how the building is performing. So by making energy performance information transparent, these state and local governments are helping to identify areas of need for energy efficiency and driving demand for energy efficiency in the marketplace. As we can see from this map, across the country, state and local governments have chosen Energy Star's Portfolio Manager to help them implement their data disclosure policies and laws. So Energy Star is a free voluntary program that is developed by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. You may know it as the EPA, that helps any commercial building owner or operator benchmark the energy performance of their buildings. The process is facilitated using EPA's Portfolio Manager tool, which I've already said quite a few times today. And this tool is a free, secure, and web-based application to benchmark the energy performance of commercial buildings. While the actual tool Portfolio Manager is a free and voluntary resource offered by EPA, a growing number of state and local jurisdictions have decided to actually require building owners to benchmark and report their property's energy performance through the tool. And that might be why many of you are here today. So if you are required to benchmark your building to comply with one of these laws, EPA can help you with any questions related to this Portfolio Manager tool. Any questions you might have about deadlines, what buildings or data must be submitted, fines, extensions, or whether your report was received should probably be directed to your jurisdiction. And real quick, I do just want to note that EPA offers several resources to help you get in touch with your local jurisdiction if you do have those questions, including a list of benchmarking ordinance contacts. We'll discuss these resources in greater detail at the very end of today's presentation, and links to these resources will be included in the slide deck that should be shared with everyone after the webinar. For any attendees joining from Canada today, Energy Star and Portfolio Manager have been adapted in partnership with Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan. However, today's presentation will focus on using Portfolio Manager to comply with US benchmarking ordinances. So if you do have questions about Canadian benchmarking laws, we will invite you to send them directly to the team at Natural Resources Canada. Their contact info is up on the screen. And again, you'll have this information with you after the webinar when the slides are sent out. So before we jump into the nitty-gritty of Portfolio Manager, we also want to note that often the easiest option to ensure successful compliance is to work with one of the many energy service companies in the market that are highly experienced with Portfolio Manager already. These companies can help you to complete the compliance process from start to finish, including setting up your accounts and properties, obtaining whole building energy or water consumption data for your building, and even they can help you submit your data to your local jurisdiction. So if this sounds interesting to you and you want to learn more about working with a third-party energy service company, a good place to start is our list of the most active service and product providers. This list includes service providers who have benchmarked or certified buildings with Portfolio Manager over the past year. I am going to send this link in the chat if you're interested in checking it out now. And again, you'll have access to all of the links once you receive the slides. But there's the list to the most active list of service and product providers. So do keep in mind as you peruse the list that these companies will typically charge a fee for these services, but we just want to make sure everyone is aware that the option to get help is out there. And if we have any service providers who are on the line who want to be added to the list, all you need to do is benchmark. So with that background on EPA in mind, we're going to review the steps you can take to ensure successful compliance. For anyone that is slightly more experienced, this section of the presentation will be a bit more basic, but we'll jump into the data submission process, which is a little less basic in just a bit. And on that note, as a reminder, the purpose of this training is really a beginner's guide. So we are going to start by covering all of the information you'll need in order to create a property record in Portfolio Manager and populate your building data. So to get into it, to create a property in Portfolio Manager, all you need are the items that we have listed here on the screen under number 1. That is the property's primary function, the name, address and postal code, the year built, and the gross floor area. Once you enter all of those details, you will have a record. If you're interested in generating the 1 to 100 Energy Star score, you will also need property use details listed under number 2 on the slide. These details are considered in Portfolio Manager to be really the drivers of energy use in buildings. They will change according to the property type you are entering, and Portfolio Manager will prompt you accordingly. The drivers of energy use in an office building, for example, could be operating hours and number of computers, uh, whereas a hotel may have a number of workers and number of guest rooms, which an office space would not have. So while Portfolio Manager asks you for this information, your jurisdiction may not specifically require you to report these use details, or even they might not require you to generate an Energy Star score. That said, we do recommend entering this information in if it is available to you because it could provide additional insights into your building's performance. And a bonus is that if you do score above a 75, then you can always apply for Energy Star certification. So it's a win-win there. Lastly, you will need consumption data listed under number 3 on the slide for the resources that you're required to track. This will include energy data and in some cases also water data. The time periods and data required can vary by jurisdiction. So just make sure to check with your jurisdiction to determine which data you'll need. And this does include resource types and the time periods. So for example, a typical compliance requirement might be energy data for a full calendar year. And in that case, you would need to report all of your building's energy data from January 1st all the way to December 31st of that year. For energy and water, this information typically comes from utility bills. And in some cases, it can be uploaded directly into Portfolio Manager by your utility. Next, we'll discuss a few options for getting your energy data into Portfolio Manager. So just to recap, now you know what information you actually need to benchmark. So now we're going to talk about options for actually collecting that information and then getting it into the tool. And for that, there are 3 approaches to get your data into Portfolio Manager. The most basic approach that we're going to demo in a little bit today is to enter data manually. This typically involves collecting your data directly from utility bills and then typing in date ranges and consumption values into Portfolio Manager. Another way to upload data is using spreadsheet templates. In this case, you can download and populate an Excel spreadsheet with all of your energy consumption data and then upload the spreadsheet directly back into Portfolio Manager. The third way that you can do is working with another third-party service provider or even your utility to have your data uploaded directly into Portfolio Manager. This allows you to avoid the manual data entry process, and it is a great option to explore before you start trying to wrangle all of your utility bills. And bonus to this is that a lot of utilities even offer this service for free. So for more details on each of these approaches, we do have a link on this slide. I'm going to send this in the chat as well, just so you have quick access to it. And feel free to check this out for more information on these 3 different data upload options. In a moment, we are going to walk through the manual data entry process, but before jumping into those specifics, I do want to quickly touch on the utilities role in providing whole building data for that third option. So as you may remember, to benchmark in Portfolio Manager, you will need whole building consumption data for the resources you're required to track, like energy or water. Many utilities aggregate this data and can directly provide you with a single meter entry for the entire building for each of the months that you need. And in most locations that do have benchmarking ordinances, thankfully, this service is available. And that leads us to our data access map. As you can see from this page, you can use the utility data access map to identify whether your local utility may be able to provide that data for benchmarking in Portfolio Manager. So all you'd need to do is type your zip code in and search, and this will give you some more information on the specifics of your utility's offering. In some cases, the utility can upload your data directly into PM, and in other cases, they'll send you a spreadsheet. I'm going to send the link to this map as well so that you can start exploring and see if your locality, your local utility has this feature. There we go. Okay, so now that you have some background on what data is required to get started in Portfolio Manager, let's talk about how to enter that data into the tool. The first step, as you can see from the screenshot here on the slide, is to create a free Energy Star Portfolio Manager account. You can do this by navigating to energystar.gov/portfolio manager, or you can just search for Energy Star Portfolio Manager in your preferred web browser. It only takes a few minutes to create your account and get up and running. So if you'd like to follow along as I go through our demo today, please feel free to open up that web browser. And if you already have an account, then you're already a step ahead of the game. So with that, I'm going to transition off the slides and share my screen. Okay, and I'm just gonna ask one of our hosts to confirm that they can see what's on my screen.
Yeah, you're good, Maddie.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so once you've created your free account and it's all set up, the next step would be to set up your property. So just a brief overview, this is what Portfolio Manager opens up to once you log into your account. You have your dashboard here with any properties already set up, and we are starting from the My Portfolio tab. So to get started adding a property, we're going to click this blue button, Add a Property, in the top left-hand corner of this tab. And this will access a wizard to set up your property. Great. This landing page is the first of quite a few prompts that will help you correctly benchmark your property. So from here, we're going to do this together. You're going to select the best property type. There are 85 options, so there's quite a few. And if your property has multiple uses, EPA recommends selecting the primary use that represents the largest proportion of your building's gross floor area. For this demo today, I'll be doing a K-12 school. Next, you're going to designate the number of physical buildings that are located on your property. You can see from the options here, you can either select none, one, or more than one. So if you're benchmarking a building for ordinance compliance, you'll likely choose one to indicate that your property is a single building. It also provides you the option to select more than one if you're benchmarking a campus of buildings. If you believe your property should be benchmarked as a campus using this more than one option, we do recommend checking with your state or local jurisdiction before moving forward, because they might have specific guidance on whether your building should be benchmarked as a campus. So for now, I'm going to choose one. My property is a single building, and that's likely what most of you will be selecting. Finally, you have the option to select your property's construction status. If you're submitting for compliance, it will be existing. That's what we have automatically selected. You can also use the test property option if you're entering a fictitious property, if you're testing Portfolio Manager functionality. So once all of your selections are made, you will press the big blue button to get started. Selecting that button will bring you to this next landing page to set up your basic property information. This is where you'll enter in general information, including the property address, size, gross floor area, and occupancy percentage. So I'm just going to fill in some basic property information with a fake address, obviously. And you'll be doing this for your own property. Now, it is possible that an official property gross floor area value will be provided to you by your jurisdiction for compliance purposes. And if this is the case, do make sure that the value you enter into Portfolio matches. Okay. And then you'll also be required to input the year built. And keep in mind that this value is not used to calculate your portfolio manager metrics, but it still has that red asterisk next to it, so you'll want to enter in the value. The last required selection here is occupancy, and this is the percentage of your property's gross floor area that is occupied and operational. So as an example, if you have a 10-story office building that on average has 9 of its 10 floors fully leased and occupied, the occupancy would be 90%. This rate is not used to calculate your portfolio manager metrics. However, if you have an occupancy that is below 90%, then you may want to enter in vacant space. Okay. We scroll down, we get to our standard ID box. This field is a crucial step and is used by most state and local governments that have benchmarking laws to identify buildings that need to report their data. It's likely that you will need to fill in this field if you are reporting your data for compliance. This standard ID will needs to be selected from this drop-down menu here. As you can see, a bunch of localities pop up. And it is entered in manually in this box. It's not generated by Portfolio Manager, and it has to be obtained from your actual local jurisdiction. If you need help finding your standard ID, there is an FAQ that will be available in the resources section at the end of the presentation. So again, you'll have access to this FAQ link to obtain help finding your standard ID. You'll also be prompted to provide answers to these questions at the bottom here that will help Portfolio Manager guide you in entering your property correctly. The selection choices for do any of these apply varies depending on which primary function you use. So our primary function for this example was a K through 12 school. You would just check if any of these apply. Okay, once we press continue, it brings us to the next page asking how is it used when under the setup your property. Here you'll be asked to provide more details for your primary property type. Each property type will have different use details, as we mentioned earlier. And as you pass your mouse over each detail down here, the definition will appear and the glossary will open to that definition if you click on the link. If you're in the middle of benchmarking and you realize, oh no, you don't have the certain pieces of information in front of you, you can always use default or temporary values by checking this box, use a default. However, to ensure accuracy of your metrics, just remember to update these default values with actual information once you do have it. You can also use the drop-down menu on this page to add another type of use up here. This would be for multi-purpose properties where the additional use type isn't already included in the Portfolio Manager definition of your primary property type. So a good rule of thumb here is to enter as few property types as possible. Now there are 4 exceptions to this rule for when you should create a separate property use. First, if it's a property use type that can get an ENERGY STAR score, or if it accounts for more than 25% of the property's gross floor area, then you'd want to create that separate use type. If it's an office building and you have vacant or unoccupied space, you'll want to create that as a separate use. And if the hours of operation differ by more than 10 hours from that main property use, you'll also want to enter in a separate property use type. So once you're done entering in all of the use details, you will select Add Property. And that pop-up just said that it will create default values since I didn't enter in anything. Okay, So this green box tells us congratulations, you have successfully created your property. This would be the properties summary tab here. From here, we can view property details, enter data for energy, water, and waste under each of these tabs, and we can set goals. Notice that there are no summary metrics displayed in the box to the right. And this is because there's no meter and consumption data entered for this property. See, it all says not available. Do want to note you can also add a photo to your property if you have one. Okay, so just to regroup here, we've already covered options to obtain energy and water data through your utility or a third-party service provider, but now we're going to actually walk through the process of entering your data manually into Portfolio Manager. You can perform this manual data upload in Portfolio Manager at any time. And to get started with this upload, you'll first need to create actual meters for all of the energy sources at your building. To do so, you can simply click on Add Energy Use on the Property Creation Success screen. So as we can see, this green box that pops up as soon as we create our property, if we click this blue button, it'll allow us to enter in our energy sources. If you decide to go away from Portfolio and come back and this green box is no longer there, there's another way to get there. You can also go to your Energy tab and click Enter your bills or add a meter. So once we click that, it brings us to the landing page, get started setting up meters for your property. Here you'll be prompted to identify all of your sources of energy consumed at the property and also the number of meters for each fuel source. And you want to make sure here that you include every fuel that is consumed on your property. So I'm going to select an electric meter, and you'll be asked to indicate whether the energy was purchased from the grid or generated via an on-site solar or wind power. I'm going to say it was purchased from the grid, and then it will ask you how many meters. I'm just going to do one for today for the sake of simplicity. So once you select all of the sources of your property's energy, again, you can press the blue button to get started. So on this About Your Meters page, you can click anywhere in the table to add data about your meters. So if I click into Units, it'll generate a drop-down menu. You'll want to select the accurate unit from here. So I'm going to use kilowatt hours for electricity. You'll also want to enter in the date the meter became active, and this should be the first day of the first bill for the first 12-month period that you wish to benchmark. So I'm just going to repeat that again since it's a lot of firsts. This date meter became active is going to be the first day of the first bill for the first 12-month period that you wish to benchmark. Just a note, if your fuel is delivered in bulk, maybe it's fuel oil or propane, you'll want to check the Enter as Delivery box. And there are other options that you can fill out throughout the table. So once you have defined these general characteristics of all of your meters, you may have more than just one. You'll want to create your meters and begin entering in your bills. So let's do that. On this page, you'll see the meters that you have established. We have this one electric grid meter. We can expand it by clicking on the caret or close it to see all of your meters. All meters will be presented here, so if you want to make sure you got all of them, again, you can close all of them using the caret. And this will allow you to add data to multiple meters at the same time. And there's really no need to click through multiple meter entry pages. So it's quite helpful in that regard. So now we're going to enter consumption data for each meter by selecting Add Another Entry to enter the start and end date, usage, and cost. So we're going to click to add an entry, and you see it prompts us with all of these boxes to fill in. We're going to say, okay, this was for the month of January. So we're going to do January 1st to February 1st. Do note that if your bill has the start date on January 8th, for example, it's no problem to enter in January 8th to February 8th. That's perfectly fine. We can still read that. You'll also want to enter in the usage. So how much kilowatt hours are you using? And those are the 3 values that are required for Portfolio Manager. You can enter in these other values if you'd like, but they're not required. So if I want to do for more months, we can add another entry down below. It auto-populates with the start date as the last end date of our last entry, month out, and we'll just enter in the usage. And you'd continue to add another entry and populate those 12 months of data. So once you populate the page with all of your correct utility bills, you will press continue. If there are any issues, it will have a pop-up menu that describes what is going on so that you can accurately fix the issue. We're just going to go ahead and plow through. Our next step here would be to select the actual meters that you want to include in your metrics. This might be important for Portfolio Manager to understand which meters should actually be applied to the total property energy consumption and would therefore be included in your calculations. So you'd indicate that the meters do account for total energy consumption or that they do not account for total energy consumption, depending on what your specific situation is. So I'm going to say for this one, they do account for the total, or they do not account for the total energy consumption. And a few options will populate here, and you can select what they only account for. So I'm just going to say they account for common areas. Once you're done, you can apply your selections. There we go. And again, we get that green pop-up, congratulations. It says any energy meters you selected have been successfully associated with your property. So now your meters are set up and you'll see this note pop up. And from there, you can review a summary and access the energy meters that are set up for the building. So you see here, we're in our energy tab. If we scroll down, we can see that we would see energy used by calendar month and other metrics. So if you want to add new entries or edit past ones, you would select enter your bills on the left-hand side, or you would select the relevant meter. After selecting enter your bills or clicking on the relevant meter, you can add billing periods or make any necessary edits. You'll want to make sure once you make those edits. So let's say I want to fix this. I would make this edit so that it's January 1st to February 1st, and then February 1st to March 1st. For example, that's just one edit you might want to make, but follow the warning signs that pop up if you have any issues to help guide you. So once you've edited or added more entries, you can save your bills. And again, we have that green pop-up. So with that, I'm going to stop the demo here and go back to our slides as we go through the next few learning objectives. All right. So that was objective 2, successfully uploading your energy or water data. Now the last step here is to submit your data for compliance. Each city and state has its own customized step-by-step process for compliance and reporting. So again, we recommend reviewing your jurisdiction's guidelines before beginning this submission process. Now we do have 2 common options. First is a property share. if your jurisdiction is using the property record sharing option, you'll have to submit a connection request to your jurisdiction's portfolio manager account and then share your property data. Sharing allows you to provide your jurisdiction with access to your actual property record in Portfolio Manager, which allows the recipient to view and report on your property data. However, the other side of the coin and the most common option that's used, which we'll focus on today, is a data request, number 2 here on the screen. If your local jurisdiction is using a data request, they'll provide a link to access and respond to this request. And this link is typically provided either through email, maybe a guidance document, or it could even be listed on your jurisdiction's public website. So with this data request, you are providing your jurisdiction with more limited data points that are specified in the request, as opposed to that first option where you're sharing your entire property record as a whole. So as I mentioned, today we will review this second data request option, which by far is the most common among jurisdictions with benchmarking mandates. So many of you will have this option. Before we go through the data request submission process, it is important to briefly mention one feature to identify erroneous or anomalous data, and this would be the data quality checker. I'm going to share my screen real briefly just to show in real time what this looks like. And let's share screen. All right. Can a host please clarify that screen is sharing?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so to go into your data quality checker, you're going to, from the My Portfolio tab, click into the specific property record. And then within the Summary tab here, you'll scroll all the way down to the data quality checker, where you can press the button Check for Possible Errors. Now, this tool reviews all of your entries for an individual property for a given 12-month period in order to identify problems with meter data, property use details, and property information. So you just check for possible errors to get started. This checks a metric year, which is a user-defined 12-month time period. So I could say January 31st of 2023. All metrics in Portfolio Manager are based on 12 months of data. So you just select the year ending date using the drop-down options, and then you select Run Checker. So this checker will scan your property and immediately return results. You saw that went pretty quickly. And you can expand each alert. You see I have a few alerts here using these drop-down carrots to see a summary of your issue and a description of how to fix it. So because, as you noticed, I did not enter in 12 months of data, I have quite a few alerts here. So if you have a green thumbs up, that's good. That means there are no issues. This yellow exclamation point yield sign indicates atypical data. So for example, maybe you have unusually high or low values. If you do receive an alert like this, but you know that you entered the information correctly, you can ignore the alert. However, the exclamation point and red stop sign, which we see here, indicates that data is incomplete or missing. This type of alert will likely prevent metrics from calculating, and you should resolve this issue as soon as possible. So again, we see all of the different indicators here. All right. So on to our next slide. Now let's talk about how to actually respond to a data request. Again, the data request link is typically provided through an email, guidance document, or your jurisdiction's website. So after you click that data request link that was sent out to you, you'll be taken to Portfolio Manager where you can log in with your username and password. From there, you'll be taken to a set of specific instructions that the requester has written out for you. So do please make sure to read your jurisdiction's instructions carefully before moving forward with your response to the request. On this page, you'll select if you're submitting the request on behalf of yourself or someone else. If you're a service provider or another building owner representative, make sure that you choose someone else so that they can get credit for submitting the response. You'll also see, you'll also be able to set a time frame for the request, and this will be the time period of data that your jurisdiction has requested, which you can see has been pre-selected here on the screen. And after you have completed each section of the Respond to Data Request page, you can click the big blue button, Generate Response Preview. Once you generate the preview, Portfolio Manager will send you back to the Reporting tab where you can then select I want to and then Preview Response under that drop-down menu under the Action column. So if your jurisdiction is requesting a lot of fields, you may have trouble viewing all of them in your browser. If this is the case, you can go ahead and select Download Preview in Excel. On this page, Portfolio Manager will help you identify any errors or missing data in your submission and provide guidance on how to correct them before you submit your request. So if you need to make changes, you can edit your properties and then click Generate an Updated Response to update your submission. And then once you have entered and reviewed your data, you're ready to click Send Response. This page, you'll choose your Portfolio Manager contacts who should receive a confirmation email, as well as the format in which you want to receive your receipt. So you can either download it as an Excel or XML file. You'll then receive a copy of your data via email that includes all of the information that you submitted in your request. And this last step here is to certify your release, e-sign your response using your Portfolio Manager username and password, and then click Submit. Now keep in mind you cannot edit your response after it has been sent, so do proofread through everything. However, you can submit multiple responses to the same request. So if you attempt to click Send Response and still have issues with your data, Portfolio Manager will provide you with 3 options to proceed, listed here. You can either review or edit these properties, where you'd use links in the table above or download it to Excel in order to begin troubleshooting these issues. Or you could select, I thought I fixed these problems, and generate an updated response. So if you'd made changes to your data since your response was generated, you'd need to regenerate the report for these changes to be reflected. Or you could submit anyway. So you'll want to submit or select one of these options to complete the process. And then once you submit successfully, you'll see a notification in Portfolio Manager with this, again, the green pop-up indicating that your response has been sent. Common error is that users generate the report but never submit it. So please make sure you do get the confirmation pop-up that your response has been sent. That's very important here. And again, always check that you received a response receipt via email, and that will include a copy of the data submitted. Okay, so this brings us to the wrap up of today's presentation. Here, as I promised at the beginning, is a list of the compliance-specific resources that we covered in today's training. I sent a few of these in the chat as we went on and also referred to a few of them. But again, you'll be able to access these links once the PDF is sent out. And we do just want to emphasize that any questions about deadlines, what buildings or data must be submitted, any fines, extensions, or received confirmation on whether your report was received should really be directed to your state or local jurisdiction. And this first resource that we list here on this slide includes a list of contacts and links to help you contact your local jurisdiction if you do have questions about any of the topics we covered today. Lastly, I just want to cover this real quick. We have published a series of 25 frequently asked questions that are specific to complying with state and local benchmarking requirements. So if you have any questions related to Portfolio Manager and submitting your data, this would be a great place to start. Again, EPA and Energy Star can help you with anything related to how to use Portfolio Manager metrics such as the Energy Star score, and then also Portfolio Manager alerts and those data quality checks that we went over. And also it can help you connect with other Portfolio Manager users like utilities or third-party service providers. All right, so with that, we hope you enjoyed today's webinar and that you'll join us for our follow-along training session on May 10th using benchmarking results to understand your building's performance. So that's the part 2 in our series, and we have links to register for those on the slide. We also have a few extra additional resources which will help you get started in Portfolio Manager. Again, the resources are never ending, so please feel free to peruse these once you receive the slides. All right. That's all for the presentation today. I want to thank you all for joining me. We're going to move into our Q&A section of the webinar next. So if you haven't submitted your question and you have one, please feel free to send that in the chat. I'm going to take a quick sip of water before we get into that.